Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. I'm in the process of building some cabinets, and several of them I want to have adjustable shelves, and I decided it was worth my while to build a simple but effective jig to give me the spacing for the holes. Well, you can certainly go buy a jig. This is my jig, and it's really pretty simple, and if this doesn't quite suit your needs, it certainly wouldn't be that hard to build a second jig that does. To me, one of the trickier parts when making a jig like this is that you want these holes to be nice and evenly spaced in a straight line, etc. You could do it with careful measuring, marking, and drilling, but I wanted something that added a little bit more precision without a lot of headache. Another option is you might find something at your hardware store or home center, or even have something in your shop. For example, here's a piano hinge that has a very nice even spacing of a bunch of holes. So this certainly could be used either as the drilling guide directly or as a guide to make the jig. Could also use pegboard or a section of pegboard. If you're a fan of my videos, you've actually seen me use pegboard to put a series of shelf pin holes in various cabinets. But I think for my needs at the moment, what I had on hand, etc., the indexing method was best for me. So this is the setup I have. This blank here is going to become the jig. And I have two of these Machinist's 1, 2, 3 blocks, so it's 1 inch in this dimension, 2 inches that way, and 3 inches this way. And I've also taken the time to very precisely cut. This block is 2 inches in length, and this block is 1 inch in width and 2 inches in length. So by carefully lining these blocks up, I have the fence attached to the drill press, and I can drill the first hole, and then I'll be able to very carefully remove each of the blocks and index over pretty much exactly 1 inch until I get to within 1 inch of the other end. And there you have it, 11 holes. This is 12 inches long. It's hopefully an inch from this edge and an inch from this edge. And this is about the most accurately I can do an operation like this, given the equipment I have. I ended up cutting this slot, unfortunately pretty sloppy. Instead of milling up a new piece, I think I'm going to try to glue a piece of paper to act as a little bit of a filler. Okay, let that set up. I had to clean up the two sides of the shoulders. They were a little bit too tall to fit into the dado that I had cut. And there we have it, looking good. So this is aimed at a lower base cabinet, and this row of holes on the jig is about 4 inches, whatever that is, 10 or 11 centimeters. And it's reversible. You flip it around and you get the same distance to the back of the cabinet. There'll be a drawer up here in the cabinet, so you don't need a lot of holes, and no real need to go much lower because the bottom of the cabinet's usually where the big bulky stuff is. So for illustrations, here are two sides to a cabinet that I've already done. The idea is pretty simple. You have the top labeled, and you put it somewhere on this side, and then you flip it over, put it somewhere on that side, and as long as this edge is at the same spot, then the line of holes should mate with each other. Then the trick would be to duplicate that on its sister piece. And then of course you rinse and repeat for the second piece. There's the reference, drill the holes. So it doesn't really matter that these holes be perfect to each other. That distance does not have to equal that distance. As long as this is always the top hole in the run, and this is always the third, and etc., etc., as long as you keep using the jig this way, they will line up with each other. I decided to take the time to make this jig that references from the top of the cabinet blank, and I use that to reference the jig that I made to drill the holes, and I have it clamped in place, and I have a couple pieces of tape to mark out the 8 holes that I plan on drilling, and then I'll be able to slide this to the other side and do a similar on the other side. I have a 5mm self-centering bit that I use, and I drilled a pilot hole for good measure to check the depth. And where I live, it's easy to get these 5mm shelf pins, and you can see fits very well. And I found that just freehand drilling is accurate enough. There you have it, 2 sets of holes. So in case it's not clear what I did at the drill press, I figured I'd do a little recreation here. I have a couple 1, 2, 3 blocks, and then I cut this piece of wood to be precisely 3 inches this way, 2 inches this way, and then this piece of wood is 1 inch across this dimension. The drill here represents my drill press, and this piece of wood is the stock that I want to make the jig out of. So you would start by drilling a hole here, then remove the 1 inch block, slide them all over, register this piece against these blocks, drill a second hole. Then you would remove this, turn it from the 3 inch to the 2 inch dimension, drill yet another hole, then you would replace it with a 1 inch block, slide it again, drill another hole, and the pattern continues. You get down here, drill a hole, you turn this guy to the 2 inch dimension, drill a hole, 1 inch dimension, drill a hole. You get the idea. Well, that's all I got. Pretty quick, pretty simple. Thanks for sticking around. Hope you got something out of it. Maybe you have similar needs and this gave you some good ideas. But in any case, appreciate you stopping by. And as I always say, stay safe, take care, keep your eyes out for the next one.